Christy here from Tinker Art Studio. Today I am going to show you all the materials that you need to get started with our first 5 workshops that we'll be releasing this week. These are free art workshops for kids, and we're going to put out one a day this week. We'll be using a lot of the same supplies throughout the week for different workshops. We'll be using clay, this aluminum wire, yarn, and beads throughout several of our workshops. We also will be using wool roving in a couple of them this week. You can get started by clicking the link in this description, in the video description, which will take you to a page where all of the materials that you need to complete all 5 workshops are outlined. There's also clickable links to purchase everything you'd need on Amazon. I would recommend by starting with what you already have at your house, gathering your supplies in one location, and then going through and purchasing anything else you might need. It can be really helpful when we're setting up our kids for success in creating art projects to already have the materials they need ready for them so that it's accessible and quick and easy for them to jump right in. We can't wait to get started this week, and we'll see you soon. The first thing you'll need for your Painted Branches workshop is a branch. I would recommend going outside and finding a branch that is just right for you. I like this one because of the way there are 2 branches coming off of the place where it's connected, and I think that's going to add some interest to my artwork. You will also need paints for this workshop. Any paints at all that you have at home will do. We will need some white because we're going to be mixing white in with all of our colors to keep them really nice and bright and make them vibrant. If you don't have any paints and you're looking for a suggestion on some good paints to add to your home studio, we have a link for some of our favorites. We will also, of course, need a paintbrush, some sort of container or tray to hold your paints, as well as a water bucket and a rag. We'll be using wire in this workshop, as well as some beads. Any beads that you have at home that have kind of a wide gauge on them or a wide hole in the middle will work well for this workshop. We'll also be using some yarn. So a lot of these materials you might already have at home or something kind of similar. If you have a branch, or if you can find a branch, and if you have paints, you can totally get started with this workshop. You can always come back later and add to it if you are collecting these materials rather than already having them on hand. For our wire tree workshop, the main material we'll need is this wire. This is aluminum wire. It's really nice and pliable, and it is a super fun material to use. We'll also be using some beads, as well as yarn, and you'll get to go outside and collect your very own rock to use as a base to your sculpture. We'll be using some air dry clay to build some small little animals that might live in your tree. You might also have some other beads at home, as long as they have a wide enough hole that they can fit on the wires. Really any beads at all or anything else you want to add to your tree, you can find at home. The materials for our Drawing with Wool workshop are really pretty simple once you've gotten your wool roving in a variety of colors. In addition to wool roving, we'll be using burlap. You'll need to have towels on hand, have a bucket that we can fill with warm water, as well as some dish soap. Any variety of dish soap works. It doesn't have to be this brand. We'll also be using a little bit of glue at the end of the workshop, but any glue you have on hand at home will also work. For the clay shape art workshop, we're going to be using Crayola air dry clay. In addition, we will use some yarn, just a little tiny bit of wire to add a hanger in the end. We'll be painting our artwork, so we'll also need some paints and things like paintbrush, water bucket, and towel. In our Dreamcatchers workshop, we'll be using a 6-inch embroidery hoop. The cool thing about this embroidery hoop is there's actually 2 hoops in the set. So we have a special bonus project that we'll be including to use with the second hoop. In addition to the hoop, we will be using yarn, some beads, and some optional materials would be using some more of this wool roving to create some felted spheres that we can add onto our Dreamcatcher. If we add some felted spheres, we'll also need some tacky glue to help attach them.